Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about the latest out of the state of Utah, as they are another state that bans DEI efforts at universities and in their government. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to be checking in with our brothers, Brother Sinedu Wakofor. I'm also joined by Pastor Wendell Griffin, as we talk about those 1,000 pastors that stood against, who are calling for a ceasefire from President Biden in the Gaza conflict. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the latest out of Arkansas around the Voting Rights Act. We'll have that discussion. And later on, let's talk about how you can go from debt to success. I'm going to be checking in with the author of the book, On the Other Side of Greatness, Dr. Tawana Gilliard, to talk about her story. And can we talk about love, lives, and little help? Yo, wait till y'all hear this story and why we really need to talk about what's going on between these two B-list celebrities. Stay with us. These conversations up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Happy Thursday, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. We are streaming live on our home network of blackstarnetwork.com. So make sure you check us out there. Go to blackstarnetwork.com, our website, where you can find all the latest news and information, all of the archives of our shows, also special conversations that Big Brother Roland Martin has been having, and so much more. We're asking you also to follow us on social media at Black Star Network and drop something in the bucket for us as we move forward in this digital space, powering a movement just for you. So any donation you can give means a world of difference, or makes a world of difference for us here at Black Star Network. So your donation makes a difference. It puts you as an investor and a stakeholder, and we cannot thank you enough for your support. Now, we're also streaming on Amazon platforms. Check us out on Amazon News on your Fire TV, as well as Amazon Prime Video. You can find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, the news. Then find us under Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, the news. We're also on the Freevee network. We can find us on now under news. Just check us out at Black Star Network. And we're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us on the Live TV, the news, and opinions. Now, along with that, folks, we are on social media, of course. We're on Big Brother Roland Martin's Facebook page, so you can check us out there. And big shout out to the Culture Crew on the Facebook page, as well as on, that's right, big shout out to the crew on the X platform. And we can also find us on Big Brother Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And so many of you have already started gathering there on the space. So big shout out to the online Culture Crew. I see you, Pastor Damon Blissett, Tiana, Deidre Hall, Cindy D. Thank you, Karen Connor. Let's keep it going. Tiana, Brian Chrisean, thank you so much. The ABX girl, my sister, thank you for checking in. You don't like my music, my guy. Thank you, sir. Gene Smith, thank you so much. Who else we got on here? Anastasia, I see you. Man, oh man, the crew is here and ready to rock and roll. So folks, if you haven't had an experience like this is an interactive experience where as we talk about the issues, you talk about it within the chat, and then we bring your comments to life. We help to let people know what you're thinking just as much as what we're thinking, and it's truly, truly a beautiful exchange. So join us in the Culture Crew today. All right, let me just bring my big brother, my brother who's always doing something, he's always traveling, but he's a brother who's committed to the work of liberation for our people. He is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. He is a HBCU alumni, and I'm so always happy to talk to my brother. And I can't even forget. Let's bring him on. Brother Sinedu is with us. Brother Sinedu, first and foremost, is Black History Month, so happy Black History Month. That's happy major. Month, brother. Yes. Yeah. And guess what? This is the 2-year anniversary of the culture. How can I forget? Come on. 2-year anniversary. So we've been on 2 years here on the Black Star Network. So it's a major, major situation. and I'm always happy to have you with us, big brother. All right, brother Sinead, let's jump right into these conversations dealing with first this diversity issue out of the state of Utah, how they have decided to move forward on banning DEI programs and policies. This is coming from the governor of the state, Mr. Cox there. And this is a measure that he signed, Governor Spencer Cox. He cleared the Utah State House and Senate by wide party line margins. Man, oh man. And let me just share with you the latest from the Associated Press. Let's put that thank you so much, Lisa. I couldn't even get the words on. Put the quote up. There we go. According to the governor and to those Republican lawmakers, they said that we've been concerned about some DEI programs and policies, particularly with hiring practices. And this bill that they're talking about that the governor signed into law, this bill offers a balanced solution, according to the governor. Now, the new law will bar universities, and government from having offices dedicated to promoting diversity. They also can't require employees to submit statements of commitments to DEI. Wow. Brother Sinead, what are we looking at here? This is not just and of course, this is not the only state in the country that has moved forward with this whole practice of trying to contain DEI. Also, the governor signed a separate law requiring people to use bathrooms and locker rooms in public schools and government-owned buildings that match the sex they were assigned to at birth. He's taken on all of the culture war in Utah. And this is another state, another Republican lawmakers, where other Republican lawmakers in 17 other states had proposed some 36 bills to restrict or require public disclosure of DEI initiatives, according to the Associated Press analysis of the bill. So what do you make of this, big bro?
This is yet again another weaponization of, I would say, blackness, because when they're saying, if you remember, the DEI, the woke, these are all weaponizations of things, of words, of concepts, to turn them into things that they are not. This is very shameful. And I actually, like I said, I'm going to play this differently. I actually agree. We don't need DEI if this country is true to her policies. If she is true to everybody can come and everybody can have a fighting chance. DEI is like most things that like civil rights folks have fought for. We wouldn't have these fights if these inalienable human rights were respected by white men. But they are refusing to respect these rights. So them taking this away, and I've said this many times on this show, I don't want to get too lost in the hubbub. Check the census. White people are not having babies in mass. I will keep saying it. In mass. By 2050, they will be a minority in this country. That is why their anti-woke, anti-DE&I also matches their anti-immigration, until these companies come here and they need qualified people to work these companies, and Americans don't have those qualifications. It is just like another dog whistle that no one should actually take seriously, but it's dangerous, because what it's actually doing is, when you look at it from a national security standpoint, you're saying that you are diminishing the importance of a diverse and an equitable workforce. Our enemies, like China, can now say, well, shoot, we will hire diverse and equitable Americans and we'll give you this and that. And then there you have a brain drain. It's already an issue that when it comes to chips and certain IT modules, that we don't have that personnel here. So this is actually a big disservice to his state in particular and our nation.
It is a huge disservice. And to that point, bro, I have been reading so many different articles of governments around this country. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. America is not as progressive as we think if we start to look at other governments. Actually, Brother Sinead, I'm feeling like we're starting to kind of go back on some of the progress that we made. We were there. We were kind of like in the mix of things. But when you see governments, and I'm talking about in countries where we have kind of like downplayed them, in Africa, on the continent of Africa, in Europe, and certain parts of South America. I mean, these governments are moving further along, making greater social gains, and being more inclusive than America. And it's interesting that we still hold on to this idea that, oh, no, this America is at the top of the charts, when in fact, when you look at these things, I mean, to the point that you made about DEI, bro, it only helps. It only helps. And what happens, Brother Shanita, we got to take our first pause, but I want us to think about this. What happens when the country, and I'm saying the country, I mean the constituents, those of us who live here, who are under this system of government, what happens when our sentiments is moving in a different direction, but our government is still operating like it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, in some cases 50, 60, 100 years ago? What will happen to the country? There's going to be some conflict. There's going to be some stagnation. There's going to be a lot of disappointment, dissatisfaction, and in some cases, oppression, because the government is not able to keep up with the progress, with the growing and evolving attitudes of the people. And I think this is going to be a real problem, not just for this presidential election or any election, but I'm saying just for the sustainability of this country, bro. It's going to be a very quick problem. You got 30 seconds. I want to give you a chance to respond, bro.
I'll say it very quickly. What happens is that private industry, which is good, will be able to have capabilities that the government cannot regulate. I want to remind conflict. The internet was cut off when Russia was bombing them. The people who were able to give them internet was Elon Musk and his private companies, because he was able to send rocket ships up into the air, because he has a company of diverse thinkers, of equitable thinkers, of inclusive thinkers. Our own government could not be able to do the same thing. A private citizen could do something that our government couldn't do. And if you think about it on a bigger scale, that is not good for our national security. So that's what it impedes on.
I heard an interview of Elon Musk, and you know what? He said the exact same thing. He said the exact same thing. He said, I should not be the guy to have a plan for national security and dealing with these global things. You should not be coming to me, but I am that guy. But he kind of pushed himself away, saying, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm the go-to guy for the United States government. I think you're on to something, big brother. I think you're on to something. Look, we got to take our first pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about what's happening with these 1,000 pastors who have decided to use their pulpit and their voices to call President Biden out on a ceasefire dealing with the conflict in Gaza. Also, we'll certainly talk a little bit about what's happening in the state of Arkansas around the Voting Rights Act. We're going to be checking in with Pastor and former Judge Wendell Griffin to get the latest around that. So stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Joined by my brother, one of our great contributors here on the on the Culture here on the Black Star Network, brother Shinedu Wakorafor, who is a diversity, equity, inclusion specialist. He's an activist. He is one who's on the front lines fighting for the liberation of our people. Always a pleasure to have him. I want to now switch gears a little bit from talking about Utah to talking about what's going on first in the state of Arkansas, because this is an ongoing issue, Brother Shinedu. We know that the Voting Rights Act is something that that was instituted to ensure the freedom of our people, to make sure that we can get to the polls, that there won't be any issues and problems. But going into this major election year, I want to get your take, and then I want to bring in our special guest pastor and former judge, Brother Wendell Griffin. What do you see happening as we move forward in this campaign season with so many big, so many contests, so many primaries? Like we got the big primary in South Carolina that's coming up on Saturday. What do you see happening? How do you think this is going to play out over these next few months leading up to the presidential election? Do you feel like our people are going to come out and vote, that we're going to be protected, and most importantly, that our votes will be counted?
I think all of that's going to happen, but I think yet again, we're not going to be happy about it. I think yet again, Black people are being told to pick up the pieces of society, but we're not getting a piece. We're not even getting a corner, a crumb. We're not even perceiving the aroma of that freedom. And it's like, it's going to be hands on deck. Everybody's meeting with Black people now, but it's like, we had 4 years this time. We had 4 years before. It's always 4 years, and everybody forgets about us until it's time to vote. And it's like, people are going to vote, but I think there's going to be a heavy reluctancy. And as the electorate changes, older people will do it because they understand the historical significance. But it is the millennials, it is the Gen Zs, the younger ones, that they don't feel good about voting for something that is not impacting their everyday life.
Absolutely. And we've had this conversation earlier this week that there is a struggle between, Representative James Clyburn and some of the HBCU leaders down in South Carolina. And that is a real cause for concern. We had a conversation yesterday, Brother Shinedu, about old school politics versus this new generation, the next generation. Do you think that can be resolved before this presidential election? Do you think that Black youth, Black student leaders will from HBCUs and PWIs will be able to come to some understanding about the stakes, and more importantly, come to an agreement on which way to move forward? Yes, we know President Biden is not the candidate of choice for some folks, but at the end of the day, we also know that there's a bigger picture and there's a lot more at stake. Do you think that these internal issues will get resolved, bro?
I do not, because it's too quick. I think people are going to make big, lofty statements, but they're not going to deliver. Because if you cared about this, let me take you back 4 years ago. There would have been. Let me take you back 5 years ago. There would have been more respect on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's name when she spoke about the Green New Deal, things that this generation cares about. The people that will run helter-skelter and agree with whatever is going to be proposed are just people. It'll be just here for now and not forever. It's the people who are getting fish and not being taught fisherman skills. And it's unfortunate, because if you truly believed, if folks really truly believed in this new generation, then they would allow the new generation not only to govern, but they would allow their ideas to stand on center stage. And that's just not happening.
It's just not happening. Let me bring in my brother, who has been a strong voice talking about these issues. He has served in many different capacities in the state of Arkansas. He served as the 6th Judicial Circuit Court Judge in the state of Arkansas. He has been a prominent voice calling for a number of reforms within the judicial system. He's also a pastor of New Millennium Church in Little Rock, Arkansas, and he's also an author. My big brother Wendell Griffin is joining us. I want to bring him into the conversation as well in a few moments. But as we look at this, Brother Shinedu, as we look on this, and we're going to get him ready and prepare for the conversation, that is, I think, is one of the big concerns, that there isn't enough time. And you and I, we've been in a lot of different political spaces together and separately. One of the big things that I think that we always kind of miss the mark on, and this is something that I've learned from the great book, The Art of War. Timing is everything. Timing is essential. And what we see happening a lot of times, especially on the Republican side, is that they have weaponized time for their advantage to get certain things across. When they know that there are deadlines within the states that have to happen, when they know that there are big moments, big judicial and legislative moments that have to happen, they use time in a different way. How do we change our view of how time is used? How do we make sure, and I'm saying as constituents, we see this happening on the policy and lawmaker side, but I don't think that's emphasized among us, those who are going to the polls and the everyday citizen of this country. How do we make that happen, bro?
I think what we have to do is follow what has always worked in history for many groups. We have to tie it to something intangible. Worth to our vote. You're not getting our vote if you're not willing to do this or that for us. It can't be vote for me and I'll do this. No, it has to be you're either going to do this or we will not vote for you, or we would abstain from voting. Because when you do something like that, it is pegged to something greater, and it gives now, it's the onus now on the person that wants wants the electorate. It puts the onus on them to actually have to deliver. And don't get me wrong, President Biden and Vice President Harris, they have been trying, but I say try harder. You know why I say that? Because look at the Senate. There has been questions and dissension about what's going on in Gaza between Hamas and Israel, but that has not stopped the United States from sending funds, no matter how anybody speaks up. So if you can, for whatever reason, whatever power that group has, that their power pushes their purpose and gets them their results, we need that same type of system. We need to tell them, you're not going to get our vote. And it's not about Biden. It's about whoever's running. We're looking for our best interest. We're not going to sleep with these people at night. It's who is going to serve our best interest. Who can we hold to our vote? That is how we do it.
I think that's going to be the big piece of this. That's the big piece. Tez, thank you so much for checking in. You said this generation is going to have to make moves and push through the ideas. Absolutely, Tez. Absolutely. Make moves, push through the ideas. That's how this thing works. Absolutely. Thank you for checking in. Boogie Barnes, thank you for checking in. I appreciate you, Boogie, for checking in yesterday as well. You said they will not be resolved talking about these issues. They are not with the BS talking about this next generation. The next generation is not with the BS and do not have any investment or obligation to any party. They are not jaded. That's true. They kind of, you're talking about the first time voter, or maybe the second time, third time voter who's 21, 25 years old, or even 18 years old. these are young people who are becoming much more politically aware, right? I mean, we can't get mad at them for at least asking questions and being critically thinking about these big issues, because y'all remember, where were we at 18 and 19 years old, right? So I don't get mad at young people for thinking and even causing people to feel uncomfortable, because that's a sign of life to me, Brother Shanadu. So I don't get mad at that. But I hear what you're saying, Bookie. You're talking about they're not with the BS, do not have an investment or obligation to any party. You're absolutely correct. My sister Corinna posted this, and Corinna sounded like she's checking out. Corinna, don't check out on this conversation. Stop playing. You said, can we give the elected officials that actually care some people power? That's all I'll say today. Hey, crew, be well. Can we give them some people power? Look, this is what Republicans do. Y'all remember the conversation I had about electability versus shared values? That's what we saw in Iowa. That's what we saw in New Hampshire. It is people power that is propping up Trump, and it's people power that's behind Trump, because they're not looking about his electability, how he is seen on the ticket, how does the rest of the country. They are going with an individual who they believe shares the same values as they do. So if we're talking about that people power, then I'm just kind of thinking about what you're saying, Corinna. We're talking about that same people power, then we should have that type of conversation, and more importantly, put our support behind candidates that really do speak to it. Now, if they are not elected, it's one thing, okay. But at the end of the day, if you show up for a candidate, this is not even dealing with president. Let's think about on a statewide level. If you show up for a candidate on a statewide level, that makes a lot of difference, because them statewide and citywide elections, the margin of victory are so small, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's check in with Pastor Wendell Griffin, Brother Shanadu, and you. Stay with me. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, and I'm joined by my contributor and one of our great culture crew members, Brother Sinead Wakofor, a DEI specialist and activist. Now I want to bring in, along with Brother Sinead, a brother that we've heard on this show before. He's always got something to say, a lot of fire, a lot of passion, and he speaks his truth without any type of filter. And I truly, truly appreciate what the brother brings to the table. He is a former state judge. He's also a pastor, and he's author of the book Parables, Politics, and Prophetic Faith. And I want to welcome back to the airwaves of The Culture, big brother, Pastor Wendell Griffin. Pastor Griffin, good to connect with you once again. How are you today, sir?
Fine, Brother Faraji. Thank you for bringing me on. Brothers, good day to you. You had a higher powered conversation, bringing truth. I want to thank the brother for bringing it real. You're bringing real truth. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to hear from you, brother. You've been in this work for a long time, Pastor. So, you know, that's a mighty, mighty high compliment coming from you. But this is right in your backyard in the state of Arkansas. I'm talking first about this Voting Rights Act. Why is it important for us to look at what's happening here with this situation with the Eighth Circuit Court? This is the court has declined to hear the case for the Voting Rights Act. What does that mean, Pastor Griffin? Where does that put the conversation in the fight to make sure that our people are protected when going to the polls this coming year? What does that mean for us?
Little quick history for those who are not in with what happened. The Eighth Circuit covers 7 states. From North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, and Arkansas. And those 7 states are governed by the Eighth Circuit. In Arkansas, the Arkansas legislature, after the 2020 census, redistricted, as every state legislature has to do. But what they did was they split black votes and they packed black votes. It's called cracking and packing to reduce empower a black voting strength. 2 civil rights organizations, the Arkansas NAACP and the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, filed a lawsuit under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act challenging that decision. A federal judge appointed by Trump named Leo Radofsky decided on his own, for the first time ever in the country, that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act cannot be enforced except by the Attorney General of the United States. Neither party had brought that up, but he brought it up on his own. And based on that, dismissed the lawsuit. The NAACP and Arkansas Public Policy Panel appealed to the Eighth Circuit. A 3-judge panel, Eighth Circuit, voted 2-1 to affirm that dismissal. The chief judge of the Eighth Circuit, Judge Levinsky Smith, a black man, dissented. The case then went before the full panel, the whole 11 members of the Eighth Circuit. The petition for a petition en banc, really what means for the whole court. And the whole court denied the request to hear it en banc. They didn't decide that the judge was right. They said, we're not going to upset it. We're not going to turn it over, which had the effect of leaving the judge's decision in force. And to make it worse, they denied it en banc on reasons different from what the judge in Arkansas had ruled and different from what the 3-judge panel ruled. Even though there's a long set of laws that says when you do that, something like that, the party who gets the benefit of that has to file a cross appeal. This is deep in the woods, but basically what that means is now if you want a challenge in Arkansas or in those other states that are covered by the Eighth Circuit, the decision, there has to be a petition filed for certiorari in the U.S. Supreme Court. Hello, you got to have 4 votes of the 9 justices of the Supreme Court. There's a 6-3 supermajority of the Republican, of the right wing. You're not going to get 4 votes, okay? So basically, this is a very blow to voting rights legislation, voting rights prosecutions under Section 2. Now, I need to remind you, Section 2 has been recognized by the Supreme Court as privately enforceable for a generation. So this is not a new decision. This is a backward decision that is taking us back before Section 2 was even put into the law. It's almost as if the circuit says there is no Section 2 if you are a civil rights organization. Only Section 2 matters if you're the Attorney General of the United States.
Wow. Brother Sinead, what's your take on that, bro?
It's the same old game. And I think what you're saying constitutes that bigger point on why all politics are local and why your local elections are just as pivotal as the elections at the national level, because these judges, correct me if I'm wrong, they were appointed, were they not? Yeah. I think tale as old as time. We've heard one times, and I hate to say this, but I think in the Black community, we have to work on our strategy. I think we are very good in identifying what we don't agree on. And we need to really come together with what we do agree on. And what we do agree on is that no matter how you cut it, whether you light skin, dark skin, Christian, Muslim, straight, or gay, for as long as you are Black, they are playing with us the exact same way. And we need to find some middle ground there to see how we can work in concert.
True.
And then and you know what? I want to take another quick pause. When I come back, Pastor, I wanted you to kind of speak to that, because how do we respond to that as Black folks in this country in 2024? I mean, you're talking about policies. If they're moving in a way that it's as if the Voting Rights Act never existed, then that means that we have to move differently as a people. And I want to get your take on that, as well as I want to raise up some comments from our culture crew. Folks, stay with us. You're tuned into The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. I am joined by two dynamic brothers. First, culture crew member and contributor, Brother Sinedu Wakorfo, is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Specialist. Also joined by my big brother, former state judge and pastor, Pastor Wendell Griffin. He is joining us as well as we talk about the latest coming out of the state of Arkansas, the home state of my brother, Pastor Griffin, as the Eighth Circuit Court declines to hear the case around the Voting Rights Act from the state of Arkansas. And essentially, this puts the fate of the protections of Black voters in the state of Arkansas and other states that fall under the 8th District for the court system at risk, a very, very big risk. Now, according to the Arkansas Attorney General, Tim Griffin, he praised the decision of denying the NAACP and the ACL's petition, saying that this is a decision for a win for our citizens and send a message that the rule of law governs in Arkansas. He also pointed out, though, Pastor Griffin, he said it is important to remember that even the Biden administration declined to side with the claims of the ACLU and NAACP in this lawsuit. Can you just kind of briefly tell us what does he mean by that? Because that could be taken out of context.
Read my lips. Attorney Tim Griffin, no kin to me, told a lie. Let me say it again. Attorney Tim Griffin, he knows my name. He knows where I live. I will say it to his face. He lied. The judge gave the Attorney General 10 days to decide whether to join the lawsuit. You do not decide in 10 days to join a voting rights lawsuit in 10 days. I don't care who are the litigants. The Attorney General of the United States has never taken a 10-day period and decided to join a lawsuit. Why? Because there's too much work to be done to understand what the lawsuit is about. And so that's all that happened. When the Attorney General did not join the lawsuit in 10 days, Judge Radofsky, the federal district judge, moved on. But to say that the Biden administration did not side with the plaintiffs is just a lie. Well, let me say it's a damn lie.
And so, Pastor, how do Black folks in Arkansas and in those states that you named that are under the 8th District Circuit Court system, how should we move forward on that? You know, considering this is an election year, we have a lot of things that are on the plate, but folks are really trying to figure out, you have all of these internal issues within Black communities, within Black organizations, civil rights organizations. Now we got this on the plate. So how should we move forward?
Roger, let me say one more thing and I'll go to your question.
Yes,
Tim
sir.
Griffin formerly worked, you got to know where people come from. Tim Griffin formerly worked for Karl Rove as a vote cager. Karl Rove, the guy who put George W. Bush in the White House by canceling Black votes in Florida. Karl Rove, the vote cager. Tim Griffin worked for him. That is who is the Attorney General of Arkansas. And so this is what this is about. This is simply Karl Rove 2.0. Now, how do we respond?
Yes, sir.
Point blank, crying doesn't help. crying does not help. What we've got to do is we've got to say point blank, listen, we have got to hold not only the Republicans accountable, but we've got to also hold the Democrats accountable. Do you know why Section 2 only allows the Attorney General of the United States? Because for 20 years, people in Congress, knowing that the Republicans were on the move in the federal courts, did not change Section 2 to allow private groups to bring Section 2 actions. Who was in the Senate for the last 20 years? Joseph R. Biden. Joseph R. Biden was chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Joseph R. Biden has been in the Senate. And Joseph R. Biden has been in the Senate during administrations when Democrats were in power. During the Obama administration, they could have done it. During the Clinton administration, they could have done it. They didn't, because they just sat on their hands. And we as Black people have got to hold them accountable, because Biden will come and say, you got to reelect me, because if you don't, you'll get more of the same. My response is, no, we shouldn't. If you were in the Senate and you knew the Republicans were on the Senate and you didn't take proactive action to protect voting rights, why should we trust you now?
Brother Sinedu, that's a hard pill, man, when you got to look at somebody's track record in their history, and then you got to move forward and possibly placing your faith for your future. That's a hard pill, bro. I'm listening to Pastor Griffin and I'm like, damn, this is the place we find ourselves in. What's your take, bro?
I don't think it's as hard as we're making it. I think we don't want to make a decision that might be unpopular. It's interesting that the pastor brought up that example that he had all those times to do things and he didn't. It reminds me of when he was running and he wanted you to forget the Joe Biden of the 90s. Joe Biden, the crime bill, it was forgive me. But the thing is, that same mindset ended up being the same man that was in Senate that could have done something to prevent and did not. And like I said, we need our just desserts first. We need our just first. We'll know that you're better once we see that you're doing something. And what we're asking for, and Pastor will correct me if I'm wrong, every other organized group does the exact same thing. I think we get lost in our emotions and forget to play the same political game that every other group that is gaining has played. It's about high time that we just don't sell our vote for naught just because we feel. Most of the reasons that we're voting for Biden is based off of our feelings. Feelings are not always.
And the possibility that Trump could get into office, right? And whatever all the madness that he brings. And I think that's a very, very real concern, right, Brother Sinedu and Pastor? Brother Sinedu, isn't that a very real concern? Yes, sir. Let
me just say something. I hear people talking about the possibility of Trump getting in office, and I hear people talking about Biden, this. But please remember that Cornel West is running for president. And black folks are not talking about Cornel West running for president. Now, I understand that folks like to talk about Kamala Harris, but the truth of the matter is that if Joe Biden does no better than he's done in the future, than he's done in the past, we are not any worse off with Donald Trump, because Joe Biden is simply Donald Trump milquetoast. Joe Biden in the crime bill is Donald Trump before Donald Trump got in the White House. Joe Biden in Gaza is Donald Trump against the New York Five. We are talking about two sides of the same hateful coin and trying to figure out which devil do we want. That's not a choice. That's not a choice. And I agree with the brother. We need to say, hey, no, you can't say vote for me because we like you. No. When I get on an airplane, I don't need to like the pilot. I want to know, can that sucker fly the plane? And if he can't fly the plane, or he has had wrecks on the plane, I'm getting myself off the plane. I don't care how good he or she likes. I don't care who the co-pilot is. If the pilot has a faulty track record, if the pilot has a bad record, if the airline has a record of dropping planes out of the sky, I don't get on the plane. I don't care how good the commercial is. And we black folks have got to start saying that. We've got to start saying, hey, you cannot get our votes with a soundbite. You cannot get our votes with a doggone glamour show. And you can't get our votes with a song and dance. It is not whether or not you can play our music or you know how to sing our songs. It's whether our lives will be better because you are in the White House. And this is what we want. We want this. We want this in your program. And you don't get our votes if we don't see it. As far as I'm concerned now, Joe Biden can't get my vote if there's no ceasefire in Gaza. Joe Biden cannot get my vote because if he does not call for a ceasefire in Gaza, he won't call for a ceasefire in Arkansas or in Alabama or in New York when the KKK does their stuff under the guise of police power. Because all that some policing is KKK with a uniform.
I gotta stop you right there. Pastor Wendell Griffin, who is the pastor of New Millennium Church in Arkansas. Pastor, I truly appreciate you for joining us on the conversation. Brother Sinedu, thank you so much. We got a lot to think over here. We have a lot to think about. And I thank you, brothers, for bringing up some of these ideas and sharing your sentiments around these issues. And of course, we'll keep our eyes on what's happening in the state of Arkansas around the Voting Rights Act. Folks, we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. We want to shift gears talking about from debt to success with Dr. Swana Gilead. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Man, oh man, woo, a highly spirited first half of the show. Make sure y'all check us out there on our website at blackstarnetwork.com, where you can download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network, and you can also give the show your support for the conversations, where we have conversations that give space to a lot of different views, folks. You may not agree with it, you may not like it, but guess what? There are people in the Black community that think differently about a lot of these issues. And so we have to honor, I think it's important that we honor and respect those individuals, right? To make sure that we can all be heard, because as we often say, Black people are not a monolith. We are not a monolith at all. So it is important for us to share these ideas, discuss these ideas, even get upset with each other. But at the end of the day, we do have to come to some consensus and have some understanding of where we are coming from, and most importantly, where we are going. So again, go check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, folks, let's shift gears, talking from politics to talking about how to change your life. And I am joined here by our new contributor, Sister Trinette Collier, who is the inspirationalist, to give us the latest about some of the things that we can do to change our lives. But we're also joined by a very special guest. She is the author of the book On the Other Side of Greatness. And she's here to talk about her life story of going from a 7-figure debt situation, what, 6 figures, 7 figures? It was a lot of money she was in debt, y'all, to being successful. We're talking about Dr. Tawana Gilliard, MD, who's joining us along with my sister Trinette Collier, who is the inspirationalist. Trinette, Doc, thank you so much for joining us. How are you, sisters, today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Anything can happen on the culture. That's all I'm gonna say. Anything can happen on the anything can happen. All right. First and foremost, Doc, I want to talk a little bit about your story. You put out this book, On the Other Side of Greatness, where you talked about your life. You went from, you put it in economic terms, but I know that if you put it in economic terms, there's an emotional toll there. There is some changing of thinking that's happening there. But you're talking about being in this place of debt to going into a place of success. Talk to us about this book, On the Other Side of Greatness.
First, I want to do a shout out to another Mo Brown sister that I see, Coach Trinette. Hello.
I was trying to wait and be,
No, I just light up. I light up the room because I love to see us thriving and doing what we do. All right. Yes. Let me tell y'all about this book. All right, let me show it to you so you can get a good picture of it. I wrote the book On the Other Side of Greatness, Lessons on the Journey from 6-Figure Debt to 7-Figure Success, because I know that there are a lot of people who are suffering in silence, dealing with debt and dealing with mental illness. And I felt it a travesty to die with my testimonies. And I think too many people are doing that, especially in our culture. And I wanted to share the struggles I had gone through. It was a hard ride, but I felt that God purposed me to do this to help others, to let people see that even when your back is flat on the ground, there's still opportunity to rise and to get up. And so the book just goes through my whole transformation of how the debt happened, stating the importance of looking back at the generations that have come before you, understanding that our history in this country, and whatever your nationality may be, your history, understanding how that affects how you think about money, how you treat money, and how you use money. And so I had to look at all of that, and I had to come to grips with that. And so that's my story of that journey of changing my money mindset, changing my financial DNA. I talk a lot about that in the book. Understanding that you cannot move forward unless you take a hard look at yourself and what you are doing and how you got yourself in this situation. I talk about how me suffering in silence for years because I was too embarrassed to share with anyone what happened to me with all the debt, and realizing that it takes a community. It takes what I call a dream team to help you in any situation that's happening in life. In building that team, coming up with a plan, making sacrifices. And in 10 years, I had paid all the debt back and build a 7-figure portfolio.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Tawana. A lot of times when we have conversations, especially about the economics of things, right? When we have these conversations, it seems to be to make more money, but there's so much more to getting from a place of debt to success. And I think, you know, Coach Trinette would agree with me that there is first a shift in mindset, right?
Yes. Yes.
That has to happen first, right? But and you might not like this, I don't know. But the shift in mindset, everybody can't make that shift. Everybody can't go.
I'm gonna disagree.
Right.
I'm gonna disagree.
You're going to disagree. All right, that's why I said you might not like it, but you're saying that it can happen. But in the bigger scheme of things, is this something that we want to continue to talk to share with Black folks in this country, especially given the fact that the more that you are quote unquote economically successful, it seems like the less control you have.
I'm not sure about that. So the more
because here's the only thing, and I'm right, and I'm just throwing this out there just because I think this is worthy of a conversation. That are we talking about just earning 6 or 7 figures, or are we talking about wealth and financial freedom and independence? Because I think that has to be made clear.
That's the thing. I'm not talking about the rat race of, oh, you got to make a lot of money to get out of debt and you have to stay on your grind to get here, because that's not what I did. When I found out about the debt, I was a resident. I was 6 months before I was to finish to become an attending. And the reason why the debt got so large is because I was in medical school for 6 years. I didn't do the 4-year traditional. I had some issues with one of the tests, and then I had some issues with depression. So it took me 6 years to finish. And so every year I was taking out the max amount of money. And so when they started knocking at the door saying, make your payments, I was a resident. I was only making like $30,000 a year. And so I ignored them. So I fell forward into fear the wrong way, the false illusion of things appearing real, instead of falling into fear the right way, facing everything and rising. And so when they came after me, they snatched all of my edges, snatched me right out the dirt. I was in a car dealership trying to get a Cadillac because I was going to treat myself to a new car. My credit score was in the 700s because I owned a townhome. I knew what it was a few years before. My credit score was down to a 380.
Dang.
Yeah. And so I had the government coming after me. I had my medical school not releasing my transcript. I mean, I hit rock bottom. And so when I was coming out of debt, you'll be surprised at how little you can live on, and that I never complained. I never suffered. I wasn't like, living in a potato sack bag or anything like that. I enjoyed my life, but I realized that I couldn't start doing that thing of keeping up with the Joneses for me to move ahead. Because even after all that happened, I went out and purchased a BMW because I still was going to treat myself. I had to go to one of those dealerships in the back corners with the high interest rate, just not making smart decisions, because at that point I had not changed my mindset. After a few years, and I realized, okay, if you're serious about this, that you want a better life for yourself, you didn't come from a family, you don't have a silver spoon in your mouth, you got to make some changes. So I started really looking at, my culture, how we look at money, how it always seems that we're trying to please others and we have to, live this quote fabulous life. I pulled back. I got rid of the BMW. I went back to a Honda Accord. And I had a cousin say to me, "Oh, I can't believe you in a Honda and you're a doctor." I said, "Well, babe, you can't live vicariously through me because you don't know my story." And so I owned moving back, living my life for me, making sacrifices, and paying the debt off. All right. Go ahead.
No, Doc, and I'm glad that you broke that down, because I want to bring Coach Trinette into this and get her take on it before we take our next pause. Coach, what do you make of that in terms of, the type of mental change that Dr. Tawana had to make and more importantly, not allowing the chatter of other people and their expectations to serve as the metric of success. Talk to me about why that is important in this process.
Listen, that first of all, I commend you because it is a big step. And a lot of times we are concerned about what others think or going to think. And we're in the background crying, miserable, depressed, going through all of this. I went through it myself, and it is a mindset. And I wanted to ask her, what was that start of that process like? Because I already know it wasn't easy to say, hey, I have to make a change. I have to literally be determined to make this change, because it does start in the mind. When you get tired of being tired at that rock bottom, it takes for you to get to that rock bottom level to say something is not right about what is happening. You know, who am I trying to impress? First of all, who's going to contribute to my household? That's something I had to learn over time as well. But when was that point? What was that point like, that process where you just said, okay, enough is enough. I have to do something.
That's a great question. And I think people need to understand that that shift is not always like someone flipped a light switch on and it's automatic. There will be phases to this where you will see a little clearer. And like, it's just like my mom said, if you keep chopping at a tree, it's bound to fall. So the first point is when I was in my room, in my townhouse, at my darkest moment, with a loaded 380 gun in my lap and contemplating committing suicide.
Oh my God.
And the thing that saved me was God showing me a vision of my mom standing over my coffin. And I could not do that to her. So that was the first step. I had to live for her. And so that was the first step. And then I started trying to fix things myself. And after about 2 or 3 years, I realized, like, look, you are digging in mud. I was trying to read and educate myself. And I realized, like, there's just some things that I don't know. Like, this isn't my major. I'm not a finance major. I can do what I think I know what to do, but I need help. Then that happened where I realized I had to reach out for help. That was very hard, because it's hard to trust people on your journey, because you feel like time you tell someone, they're going to hold it against you. And yes, that happened on my journey. I went to a hospital to ask for help with my student loans, and they went and told a practice that I was supposed to start working with about the amount that I owed. They rescinded the job offer because they said I owed too much money and there's no way I could pay that back, and they didn't want me in their practice.
Wow.
But I had to move beyond that. So what I ended up doing is I went to the bank where I was banking, and I spoke with the branch manager. It was very hard. I was shaking, trembling. I took all of my stuff in there. I told her my story, told her what I had tried to do, and I said, I need help. Can you help me? And that was one of the best decisions. So that was another chop at the tree. And it was the best thing I could have done, because she helped me find someone who could help me with credit repair. And that's Miss Yvette Nelson. She's still out of Albany, Georgia, still working and helping people. And she gave me my financial advisor, Brett Bazemore, who's still with me and did the forward to my book. They helped me get an accountant that could help on the journey. He's now retired. But that was the best thing I could have done, because I surrounded myself with the people who were more knowledgeable in certain areas than I was. That was the next thing. And then I had to be committed to what I wanted for myself. Wow. This is a self journey. It has nothing to do with my family or anyone else. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. Trust me, I had to listen to a lot of chatter when I wasn't taking the trips and going here. And, why aren't you doing that? Because I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And the fact is, I'm telling you, let's give her a round of applause to Dr. Tawana. That could have been tragic. I mean, when you're talking about sitting in that room with that loaded 380, and so many times have a lot of people go through the dark moments of their lives and have really contemplated. I mean, this is not like some deep level suicide ideation, but there is certainly, it crosses your mind like, damn, can it get any harder than this? I'm all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
and it becomes like it gets to the fiber of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Your faith is questioned. Like you said, you have that vision of your mom.
Right.
So I think I'm so happy that you can share that. Look, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue to have the conversation from debt to success with Dr. Tawana Gilliard, joined by Coach Trinette Collier, the inspirationalist, and of course with you. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by two dynamic women. First and foremost, we're joined by our new contributor, Coach Trinette Collier, the inspirationalist, as she talks to us about, and just a part of this conversation as we talk about from debt to success. And we're welcoming our very special guest, Dr. Tawana Gilliard, MD, who has written a book talking about her economic journey, folks. And it is a journey for real, for real. Yeah. But she's talking about her economic journey on the other side of greatness, lessons on the journey from 6-figure debt to 7-figure success. How you like that? And it's not even just the money that is the fascinating part about the story of Dr. Tawana Gilliard. It's really her story. It's the life-changing decisions, her ups and downs in a sense of how she handled them, the trials and tribulations. And so we just want to take a few more minutes to have this conversation because not to give all of the details away about your book, because we want people to support you and to get the book, to get all of those inner details. But Dr. Tawana, you're in this place, and success right now means a lot. Success is one of those terms that can mean 1,000 different people, 1,000 different things to so many different people. So now that you're in this place that you call success, how do you define the term success?
For me, the term success means being empowered in your own right. So I think everyone has to really look within and to determine what it is that they want for themselves. Stop looking at social media. Stop looking at all the stars. We know the percentage of people who are going to get to that level is not high. So really to look at what is it that you want. And success truly for me is having financial independence, debt freedom, and peace of mind. And being in a place where I can now feel free to do the work that's from my heart, speaking to others, telling my story, writing the book. Me getting to a place of debt freedom allowed for me to have that time. And if you are constantly stressed and worried, and every day you wake up, you're avoiding your phone because of the debt collectors who are calling you, you can't purchase anything because of your credit. No one wants to really live like that. You're living check to check to check. You're taking jobs that you really don't want because you're chasing the dollar. And at some point, you have to come around to see, what is it that I truly need in this life? And for me, peace is at the top.
Yes.
Oh, no doubt, Doc. No doubt. Yeah. No, I tell people all the time, Coach Jeanette, money come, money go, but you can't get back time.
You
can't get back time. And you know what? And even more so, and to the point that Doc just made, let me tell y'all something. Like, I am, and I don't know whether this is because, you get older. As you get older, you start to learn a certain thing. Like, people can offer me even money for certain things. They, oh man, we got this. And if it's on like a day that I have told myself, like Sundays, man, don't ask me to do no work on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm gonna be honest with you. Unless you paying me the bag.
Right.
But I mean 2 duffels just coming out anyway. But what I found to be very, very a huge value for me is my time and my peace.
Yes.
And Coach Jeanette, I want to kind of get your take on that, because unfortunately, a lot of us learn that lesson very later on in life.
Yeah.
Is there a way that, and some people say, well, in your first few years and, in your 20s and 30s, you need to be in grind mode. I'm not in complete agreement with that. I understand that you want to build.
Yeah.
But I feel like in your 20s and 30s, if you institute good, healthy practices and have a very healthy view of your time, of your boundaries, of your values, and more importantly, to Dr. Tawana's point, you are clear as to what success means and look like to you.
Yeah.
I think those things are missing from the conversation, especially in our 20s and 30s. What's your take on that, Doc? Coach Matt?
I totally agree. I think we have to start off by setting those boundaries. When I was 20 and 30, I didn't have boundaries. I didn't know what the boundaries. And it was funny because I can give everybody else, set them up with boundaries, but I didn't have any for myself. I'm just creating boundaries in my late 40s, early 50s now, like literally. And it's never too late, but you do understand now my peace it's priceless. Like I'm not going to argue with anybody. I'm not going to, nothing is going to take away my peace. But I learned that lesson from my 92-year-old aunt who always said, you do not compromise your peace. You do not go back and forth. You stand on, as the new folks would say, stand on business. My aunt was saying that, you stand firm in what you believe in and so forth,
right.
And you set those boundaries. I wanted to ask Doc, what was the support? Like your testimony is powerful.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, what was your support like on this journey? Because it is a shameful process, and it is lonely because people are judgmental, or they would say, well, girl, I don't know how, or girl, it wouldn't be me, this type of deal. But what was your support system like during this process?
That is a great question. And I do talk about that in the book. I talk about, for me, I talk about the dream team. Now, the owner of my team is God.
Yes.
That's for me. I'm faith-based. That's just from my core. Now, I'm the coach. So, like, I pull people on the team or on it, I bench them, whatever I need to do. So I think it's important to find that one person that you can confide in. I had a really dear friend. We went to medical school together. We trained together. We had similar struggles together. But I could call her and confide in her and tell her everything because I knew she truly understood that struggle.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell a lot of people because I think if you get too many people in the mix get a little murky.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful,
That's true.
How much you tell your business. And the people that I had on my team, as far as my financial advisor, the credit repair person, I had therapists. I have therapists at different times. I have someone that I do maintenance now with, like monthly. And your team members change at different times. Yeah. So I think it's important to have people who understand your mission. And if you get someone on your team who can't really understand your mission, that they're just talking at you.
Yeah.
Financial advisor who's talking at you, but doesn't really understand what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that I did on my journey may not have made financial sense, but for me, a lot of things had an emotional tax to it.
Yeah.
So me paying off, us paying off the house, and people could have said, well, the interest rate was only 2.9. Why would you do that when you're earning this much on your investments? But there was a mental tax attached to debt. Mm-hmm. And he understood that. He laid it out to show me the differences, but he supported me when I went on that journey to do what I wanted to do as far as paying off that debt. Yeah. And so you have to have people who can educate you, but also understand when there are a lot of emotions, when you come from different cultures, how we look at things. That's really important. And be strong enough to remove people from your team. I had an advisor who wasn't in my corner. I had given him some money to invest, and come to find out he just put it in a cash account. I was like, what? So I earned nothing over the year. That was before I built the dream team. Yeah. It is okay. We have this thing about, I don't want to insult anybody. Yeah, I don't have to insult you, but I can say, you know what, this relationship isn't working out. Thank you for what you've done up to this point, but I'm going to move on to someone else, and that's okay.
And Dr. Tawana, what you're talking about is relational intelligence.
Yeah,
right.
That's something that I'm learning now. There's a fantastic book. I hope I can get this brother on, man. Dr. Darius Daniels, who wrote the book about a Christian pastor. Fantastic book. He talks about relational intelligence and how to discern where you put people in your life, if they're a friend or associate, assignment, or an advisor. And when you're on a journey, that's important to have the ability to discern, because we all think that everybody can go.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And they can't. And that includes the family members. That includes your high school friends who feel like they're entitled to you because of time. So they have supreme access to you. And I think that speaks volumes about that. And so it's a beautiful thing to hear that you learn how to discern early on in the process. So now that you're at a much more successful space, that you know how to move and navigate through all of these different relationships and these different people. Now, one of the big things is, let's talk about this other relationship. You got this gentleman blowing up my chat right now.
My husband. He's one of my biggest supporters.
Mr. G49er00. He's screaming out in the chat, that's my wife. That's my wife. I
love it.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without his
I
support.
love it. Hey, Mr. G, thank you for joining the chat and bringing that energy, man, because that's what we do here on The Culture, man. We support families, bro, and I truly thank you so much for that. We got about 60 seconds left, Dr. Tuan. I want to give, you laid out such a major, and as Coach Fournette said, a powerful testimony. How can people learn more about the work? And let's not even forget, you're actual medical doctor.
I am.
So for those of us who may think that just because you are a doctor or a lawyer and you got your life is all laid out and everything is just falling in place, this is an example of a Black woman who, even though she was going through medical school and is providing a very important service to society, she has some serious trials and tribulations, and she's been able to overcome it by the grace of the God. So how can people learn more about your book, get a copy of your book, and more importantly, about the work that you're doing right now, and to connect folks to the other resources that can get the next Dr. Tawana Aguilar out of that place of darkness?
Okay, what I want to say before I get to that, I want people to understand that my journey had hiccups, setbacks. I was born with a congenital heart block. I have a pacemaker. On this, I lost my colon. I have an ileostomy from ulcerative colitis. I was not able to work a lot of the times. I don't do clinical medicine at this point. I work from home for a large insurance company, but I went to part-time because I got to debt freedom and financial independence, and it allowed me to have time to write the book and do all the things in the speaking engagements. So I want people to understand they were setbacks. There were times that I couldn't save. There were times I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do. But a setback is just a setup for success. So you don't give up just because life happens. So keep going. Now, if you want to get my book, to get all the details, because I do give plans in there about different methods you can use to help pay back your debt. First of all, be honest with yourself. That's the first step. On the other side of greatness, you can get it from my website, cornerstoneofwellness.com, if you want an autographed copy, and it's on there. If you want to get it off Amazon, it's on paperback, ebook, and Audible, because I know this young generation, we love the Audible. It's there, and at Barnes.
That's me.
Also, going to be doing my first TEDx talk in March about.
Wow! Come on now, come on, Doc, come on. Let's get some horns for Dr. Tawana for that one. Can we get a little horns, please? There we go. There we go.
So I'll be doing that in March out of Lewis University. And I also just got another second TEDx talk, which will be later in the year. So I'm just pressing forward, telling my story and hopefully blessing others. My target audience is everybody, but definitely the young people. I really want to connect with college and keynote speakers. So just look me up. You can find me on all social media, Dr. T, MD, or Dr. Tawana MD. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm there. So yes.
There it is, Dr. Tawana. I truly appreciate you. Real Brooklyn, one of our great culture crew members, he said, hearing this makes you ask yourself, what the hell am I complaining about?
Right. Get up, do something.
Pastor, my big brother, Pastor Damon Blissett said, testify. There we go. He said, Boza Blick checked in and said, glad the brother is supporting his wife. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad that Mr. G49er 00 is supporting his wife as well. Terrence Bolden checked in and said, all that you said, sis, was real talk, sister, right there. So, Brother Terrence, thank you so much as always. Man, oh man, people are really and truly appreciating your story. But your husband did post something. He said, balance plan to work plan to play. Work hard to play hard. If you die today, your job will have your replacement by tomorrow. Come on, Mr. G.
Wow. Yeah.
Come on. Because look, man, look. Woo! I had to learn that lesson early. I was the type of guy to be like, what, man? I walk off of this joint. You know what I'm saying? You're not taking. That was I'm saying. I'd be like, man, look, I'll find me another job. You're not putting me in the grave. And I always have this joke. My job is not my identity.
Correct.
That's what I do. That's not who I am. Right. You're not going to run me through all of this. Like, I live up in this piece, man. I will walk away and forget the address. You know what I mean? Like, Dr. Tawanda, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your husband, Mr. G49er.
Yeah.
I thank y'all so much, folks. The book is called On the Other Side of Greatness. Make sure y'all support our sister. Lessons on the Journey from Six-Figure Debt to Seven-Figure Success, Dr. Tawanda Gilliard, MD. We truly appreciate your story. We thank you for your testimony, but more importantly, we thank you for being an example of what's good for the culture. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, sis.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we talk back, me and Coach Trinette going to chop it up about Chrisean Rock. You may not know who she is, but we're going to have to tell you a little bit about her story and why it's important for us to have a conversation about boundaries, love, lives, and a whole lot more. Stay with us. That conversation is up next on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Let me bring my sister in, Coach Trinette Collier Green, into the conversation. Just rearrange some things. What? That was a great story of love.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so real. Like, you know, this is something that's affecting especially Black women, financial piece, you know. And it's just good to always know that you are never alone, you know, like someone in your comments said, I thought I was going through, you know, when you hear somebody else's testimony and you're just like, okay, if she can make it, then I know I can make it. Like, you know, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna push through. So I am floored. It was powerful. Yeah.
Very powerful. Let's talk about something, look, and this might be an ongoing conversation. But let's talk about love when it goes wrong. What are you always drinking? You already sipping tea already, Coach?
Listen,
let me just say, look, this is real. And like I said, this is going to be an ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
But if you aren't familiar, there's a 23-year-old by the name of Chrisean Rock. She's actually from my hometown of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And she's a reality show star, right? She got into a relationship with a gentleman by the name of Blueface. He's an LA native. And they've had a very tumultuous social media type of relationship. They are known for their antics and their wild up and down trials and tribulations on social media. They have a huge following on social media, both of them respectively, individually and collectively, huge following. So a lot of young black children, young black girls, young black men are looking at these two. Now, for us, we may be thinking to ourselves, like, who are some of these people? But I bet you, if you were to ask any of your nieces, your nephews, your sons and your daughters, do you know Chrisean Rock and Blueface? They'll probably be able to tell you. Yeah. So they've had a tumultuous relationship. A lot of toxic things have happened in their relationship. I'm just giving y'all a nutshell. But it's gotten to the place now where this 23-year-old Chrisean Rock has decided to take her love to the next level, quote unquote, by getting a tattoo. Now, they already are tatted up, Trinette.
Yeah.
Chrisean, Blueface is tatted up all around his neck and everything.
Yeah.
But Chrisean took it to the next level. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? She decided to put the man's face on her face. This is her. This is Chrisean Rock. I wish we could zoom in.
Yeah.
What y'all seeing is the face of her lover. The man that she has said that she wants to be, she's in love with, right? 23 years old.
23.
The thing is, they're not in a relationship together.
No. And
so she got this tattoo after the relationship had dissolved. He has moved on to someone else.
Yeah.
He's moved on to someone else. Can we look at, I just want to throw this up there. Look at this, y'all. And look, we're not saying this. Look, y'all know if I'm bringing this type of celebrity gossip or celebrity news to you, it's for a reason. There is a very serious conversation that we need to have with the next generation about love and relationships, right? Yeah. Very serious conversation, because anytime, let's throw that back up on it, please, Lise. Anytime, no, I'm talking about the picture. Thank you. Anytime you go this far to express your love, this is a whole human face on your face, y'all.
Yeah.
Now, let's take this thing a step further. Blueface, the guy that she's in love with, whose face is on her face, he's moved on. He got another girlfriend at this time, Bonnie Lachey.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie Lachey, his new girlfriend, and she is a star of a reality show. She was on a reality show and all of that. She decided to get a tattoo of the same dude on her butt. I can't make this thing up. This is crazy.
It's real.
So I want to kind of get your take on this real quick, Coach, because you got two women who have decided to put this man's face on their bodies. I would, and at least when you get a chance, let's show. I don't hate to show this man as a mugshot, but let's just pull up a picture of Blueface when you get it. His real name is Jonathan Jamal Porter.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a chance, please, let's put his face up there. Nothing crazy, because But Bonnie Lachey, she put Blueface's face on her butt, right? And when she did that, she posted this message on Instagram where she said, Chrisean, now let's show this quote, please. Chrisean stole my idea. She thought she was up in me. Blue loves me. He upset with me. RN means right now, but I'm not going nowhere. And this proves that. What are we looking at here, Coach?
We're looking at
we're looking. This is a mess. This is a hot mess. But more importantly, when you're seeing young people, 23 in their early 20s, and I know some of us say, well, we do some dumb things in your early 20s. We'll do some crazy things. But this is in the front of so many other young people, especially young Black girls, who may feel like this is acceptable. This is a way that you earn the love of a man. And then for young Black boys, that you got these women in this frenzy around you that they love you so much they're literally putting your face on their bodies.
Yeah.
What can we learn from this?
Listen, I have to go into auntie mode with this one.
Right.
Because you're looking at these beautiful women, beautiful young girls. And I was rooting for Chrisean. When I first heard of her, and I'm like, this baby needs some help. She really does. She getting
little help. That's why we called it this. Love lives and little help.
And I can imagine that it is because, you know, her background story of her family. I remember hearing it. She's lacking love in all, and she's seeking it in the wrong places. But you know, just the fact that these two women are literally desecrating their body in the wrong way. I have a tax, so I'm not against the tax, but it's doing it in the wrong manner, you know, and for this other individual who does not care about them at all. They both have children by him. So I'm like, okay,
Oh,
you
that's
have
right.
a son. Why not? That's like the ultimate, you know, you have a son by him. And so it's like, what, you know, before it was the tooth. She had his picture of him on her tooth that was replaced, you know. And now it saddens me because you're literally doing foolish things for this one individual who does not care about you. And granted, I don't have no tat, but I know back in the day in the 20s, we've done some crazy stuff, right? But it comes at a point where you have a group of people around you to pull you in. And this is my part. This is the moment I'm worried for her. Like, who are her true supporters? Where is her village to pull her in? You're 23, baby. You're a mother now. Like, we have to do some things to change our behaviors, you know, and it really lacks self-love. That's all bottom line. It's a lack of self-love. It's a lack of discipline. It's a lack of knowing who you are. You know, this is a beauty. Both of them are beautiful women. And it's like, y'all are going cuckoo over this man. When you get a
Yeah.
face tat, like,
Yeah.
you know, I know we have technology. You can get it off at any time, but who
I
wants
don't
to
know.
go
Can
through all
you?
that?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know that. Can you? I mean, this is a
Yeah,
deep tack. This is not like a small. This
yeah.
you can get this removed because
You
wouldn't
can
that
get it
damage the
removed.
face?
I'm not sure the process, but you can get it removed. But I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's going to be painful. But it's just the fact that you took time. First of all, where you took time from your motherhood, from your child. You know, you're focused on this man who's now he's in jail or something, but you're focused on this man. And now the other woman is focused on he's upset with me right now, but this is gonna like it's a game between the two. And guess what he's doing? He's sitting back laughing. I guarantee he's laughing. And
And that'd be sad.
it's sad.
That would be sad.
It is sad. I guarantee you he's sitting back laughing at both of these women.
And he has another relationship with another woman because
Yes.
he has a third woman in the mix. She also has a child. So this guy. So and again, like I said, this is just the beginning of a conversation, Coach. So we might need to have some more discussion around this.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that it's not just even about these little sisters because they're 23.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they're in a vulnerable space. They're looking for male companionship, which
Yeah.
okay. But then you have it on the men's side. You have this guy who thinks that, hey, this is cool. Like I can just keep playing these games and bouncing from women to women, putting it down the way I do, and boom, 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 it's going to work out for me. Currently, Blueface is in jail. He's serving. He's in jail here in LA, and he's serving a 6-month prison sentence for parole violations because of something else he did.
Yeah.
His mother went on TMZ to express that Chrisean Rock, the young sister, the first sister that with the face tag, that she needs to move on. That this is crazy and all of this. I mean, the whole thing is a mess. And the sad part is when you do not have that self-love, when you have social media love, it will drive you to a place where you lose yourself.
Yeah.
Let me just get a couple of people.
Even
absolutely
as a man, yeah,
you become lost. Brian Christian, my brother, you said, to quote one of my friends' post online, quote, make sure you're ready for the boring days, tears, and arguments in a relationship. It's not all happiness. That's what a lot of people tend to try to avoid, Coach.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to accept the fact that you're going to have boring days, you're going to have tearful days, and you're going to have argumentative days. So that is absolutely true. Tiana, You said, ain't that much love in the world to tattoo a man on my face or body. Hell no. I ain't doing that for no. Pastor Damon, you said foolishness at its finest.
Yes.
Sister Debbie Muhammad, Sister Debbie, you said self-hate, low self-esteem. Brothers don't. If you don't love a woman, then walk away, because if you have a sister, God will punish you through your sibling.
Ooh. Ooh.
Woo.
That's deep. That one right there.
Oh, that's heavy.
We're gonna have to have
Real Brooklyn, very quickly. You said what I'm looking at is young people who've lost their way. At some point, you just gotta lower your expectations when it comes to the new generation. That's a hard pill to swallow, Coach. What you take of that?
I can't. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna lower our expectations. What I will say that we have to keep fighting for it. And I get it, but at some point we're gonna have to just reach the ones that we're able to reach, and we know that we can't save the entire world, but there are some that are out there we can say, hey, we did some stuff in our early 20s or whatnot, but let me tell you, there are going to be some consequences down the line. So I think this is going to just have to be an ongoing conversation, because people are thinking these are relationship goals. That's not a relationship goal. It's not.
And I know one of the things that you and I chatted about offline is to have some more discussion. And folks, I think we're going to do this, especially now that Valentine's Day is upon us, right? Coach, we definitely can set up some time for next week to talk a little bit about this. What does it mean? Because you brought up the fact that we need to have some different conversations around social media love and real life love.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at a lot of these couples that are on social media who seemingly are happy, how it's just a house of cards, or a glass house waiting to break. And I think we do need to have some conversations about this. But I wanted us to at least start the conversation. I mean, this is the beginning of Black History Month.
Yeah.
And I know that some people are so sad to see that the next generation, that some young people of our next generation is at this state.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to work through this, because no generation is perfect.
Right.
But it just goes to show that we, as much as people like to believe that these young people can raise themselves even in their 20s, that's not the case, folks.
It's not. Oof.
That's not the case. So this is, as you say, Coach, this is an ongoing conversation. I don't bring this up, but we're not bringing this up to make mockery, but to say that this is a sign that we need to intervene in some way, shape, or form. And it's just really, really sad. It is really sad. Coach, you got the final word. You got 30 seconds. What's your take on moving forward? And more importantly, how can people get to know about the work you're doing?
Moving forward, it's time for us to heal. And you can reach me on all social media platforms at I am Trinette L. Collier, and my website, IamTrinetteLCollier.com.
There it is right there. Coach Trinette Collier. Y'all can find her on all social media platforms. She's also joining us here on The Culture on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And she brings a lot to the conversation, a lot of great energy. We talk all the time. We always texting and laughing and talking about stuff, but she brings a lot to the table. I'm happy to have her a part of the team. Thank you so much, Coach. We truly appreciate you for being so good for the culture. Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for this remarkable, just a nice, really laid back day as we celebrate 2 years of being on the air here on the Great Black Star Network. And so I truly appreciate all of the great responses. I appreciate you as my crew for having these conversations. And we've just been kind of going through this whole process of talking and understanding and listening to each other. And I just absolutely love it. So if you enjoy the conversation, more importantly, the content, go to our website. Check us out today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free and follow us on all social media. And of course, we ask you to drop something in the bucket. And I want to give a big shout out. I wrote down the names of 2 people who gave something today. I want to give a big shout out to Daniel Stinney Jr. Daniel, thank you so much. And Josette Bynes and Daniel Stinney Jr., Thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution, being a part of the Bring the Funk fan club at a level 1. I cannot thank you enough for joining us and being a part of the illustrious culture crew. Stay tuned. Up next at 6 p.m. is Roland Martin Unfiltered. Follow me on all social media platforms. You can find me at The Real Faraji on Instagram, Faraji on Twitter, or the X platform, and Faraji Muhammad on Facebook. And as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Peace.